Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Bhanachari Jamuna Tira Bonachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Nachari Hai Jamuna Tira Nachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnuvad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Jai Jai Shuddha Sri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnuvad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Jai Jai Shuddha Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Ekadasi Bharata Ki Jai. Go Brahmanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So on this glorious Ekadasi day, we'll read from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Isn't that two of the 5 most important activities in devotional service, according to Rupa Goswami? Like living in Mathura, Bhagavatam. Is worshipping Tulsi one of them?
Worshipping the deity.
Okay.
Chanting the whole name associated with devotees, living in the whole place.
Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam.
Studying Bhagavatam with devotees and wishing the deity was basically.
Okay. So it's an action-packed morning for everyone. So this is text, Canto 8, Chapter 5, Text 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Excuse me. Na yasya kashtatitarti mayam yaya jano muyati veda nartam tam nirjitatmatma gunan parisham namama bhuteshu samam charantam natyasya kaschatitartamayam yaya jano muyati vedanartam tam nirjitatmatma gunan paresham namama bhuteshu samam charantam nayasya kachartititartamayam yaya jano muyati vedanartam tam nirjitatmatma gunan paresham namama bhuteshu samam charantam nayasya kaschartitartimayam yaya jano muyati vedanartam tam nirjitatmatma gunan paresham namama bhuteshu samam charantam. Anyone like to chant? Nastajarta tititartimayam gram paresham nayasya kaschartititartamayam yaya jano muyati vedanartam tam nirjitatmatma gunam paresham namama bhuteshu samam charantam. Sankarshan, you chant? Someone. Nayasya kaschartititartamayam muyati vedanartam tam nirjitatmatma gunan paresham namama bhuteshu samam charantam. No? Priya? Nayasya kaschartititartamayam yaya jano muyati vedanartam. Tam nirjitatvatma gunan paresham. Namama bhuteshu samam charantam. Anyone else in the ethereal world? Ethereal. Or Ethiopia. Anyone in Ethiopia want to chant? Na. Not. Yasya. Of whom? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kashya. Anyone. Atititarta. Atititarti. Is able to overcome. Māyam. The illusory energy. Yaya. By whom? By the illusory energy. Janaha. People in general. Muyati. Become bewildered. Veda. Understand. Na. Not. Artam. The aim of life. Tam. Unto him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nirjita. Completely controlling. Atma. The living entities. Atma Gunan. And his external energy. Parisham. The Lord, who is transcendentally situated. Namama. We offer our respectful obeisances. Bhuteshu. Unto all living beings. Samam. Equally situated or equiposed. Charantam. Controlling or ruling them. Okay. Can we open that door just a little bit, please? Pokari. Translation. No one can overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusory energy, māyā, which is so strong that it bewilders everyone, making one lose the sense to understand the aim of life. That same māyā, however, is subdued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who rules everyone and who is equally disposed toward all living entities. Let us offer our obeisances unto him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The prowess of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, certainly controls all living entities, so much so that the living entities have forgotten the aim of life. Nate vidu swartakatim hi Vishnum. This is Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, 5th Chapter, 31st verse. The living entities have forgotten that the aim of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. The external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives all conditioned souls what appears to be an opportunity to be happy within this material world, but that is māyā. Or in other words, it is a dream that is never to be fulfilled. Thus, every living being is illusioned by the external energy of the Supreme Lord. That illusory energy is undoubtedly very strong, but she is fully under the control of the transcendental person who is described in this verse as Parisham, the transcendental Lord. The Lord is not a part of the material creation, but is beyond the creation. Therefore, not only does he control the conditioned souls through his external energy, but he also controls the external energy itself. Bhagavad Gita clearly says that the strong material energy controls everyone and that getting out of her control is extremely difficult. That controlling energy belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and works under his control. The living entities, however, being subdued by the material energy, have forgotten the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. Excuse me. Should also see if this helps you stay awake, just the fragrance. It's like smelling salts. A nice camphor. So if you're falling asleep during class, just stick some camphor in your nose. You'll stay very awake. I'll tell you that right now. Especially if someone lights it, then you got problems. Okay, Hare Krishna. Sorry about that. No one can overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusory energy, māyā, which is so strong that it bewilders everyone, making one lose the sense to understand the aim of life. That same Maya, however, is subdued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead who rules everyone and who is equally disposed toward all living entities. Let us offer respectful obeisances unto him. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unminitam Nena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Nena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Panchagopatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Bhavanibho Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So by your good wishes and prayers I'll say a few things. So this verse that Srila Prabhupada is referring to in the Srimad Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj, this Nate Vidu Swarta Gatim Hi Vishnum Darashaya Bihirt Artimani Na. Prahlad is saying here, persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruit of labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. So this na te vidu swarta katim hi vishnum, the goal of life, the aim of life. It's interesting, in the 70s, I forget the gentleman's name, the scientist, and the theory, the name of his theory, but it shook the scientific world at that time. He was the first one who, looking at this material nature and all the complexity and showing scientifically that it has to have a purpose behind it. It could not have come about by chance. It just couldn't have happened. And it was a landmark discovery for science. They don't like talking about it. But there's just too much here. In other words, there must be a purpose. Everything's so exact, someone must have put everything into place. It's just too much to say it's circumstantial or by chance or whatever. Yeah. And there's a scientist, I forget his name, and you see it referred to from time to time. It came out in the 70s. Well, I don't know. I forget. That's why when I say I forget. But in other words, there's got to be some purpose to this existence. Just like there's a purpose to this temple room, right? Hare Krishna. Swarkatam hi nete vidu swarkam hi Vishnu. No, in other words, when there's something set up, there's a purpose. Someone had an idea, and then they planned the whole thing, and then they did it. They put it all together, all the complexity and everything, made a whole plan, just like the front door. There's an idea there. Let's have a front door. So I think it's going to take all this time and money and this and that. And then there's a reason. It's not that you woke up one day, hey, there's a new door. Where did it come from? I don't know. It just kind of appeared. No, there's a purpose behind it, just a door. So let alone this whole material creation, now he didn't know what the purpose was or is. That's another thing. But the fact that it's just not by chance or a circumstance or something like that, and we're just kind of here doing the best we can. No, there's actually, someone must have put everything into place. That's the point. Everything must have been put into place by some intelligent person. Okay. So, because Prabhupada says here, the goal, the aim of life. What is the aim of life? Of course, according to the modes of material nature, people have different aim of life, but what was referred to here is the supreme goal. The reason we exist and the reason the material energy is doing what it's doing, and the greater reality. We forget all of that. The aim to go back home, back to Godhead. Just like if you're a soldier caught in war and you're a POW, what is your goal? You're actually supposed to try to escape. Did you know that? Yeah, that's your duty. You have to try. Don't do anything stupid, get yourself shot or something like that. But you're actually, now that you're a POW, you're supposed to figure out how to get out, if you can. You have purpose to get out. Or just, I guess, in jail also. Probably a good idea to try to get out, be on best behavior and get paroled and get out of there as soon as possible. I think that's the purpose of being the most important thing if you're in jail. So the material world being a jailhouse, schoolhouse, is to get out. And what's being said here is that the material energy is so strong that it bewilders everyone. What I'm trying to think of? Well, there's Daivesha Gunamayi, that's being referred to in the very end of the purport. This is Bhagavad Gita 7, chapter 14, verse. Daivesha Gunamayi mama māyā duratyaya mama viye papajante maya metam tarantite. Now, what is that? What is that? Perfect illusion. Sammoham. Right. Sammoham. It's perfect. Sammoham. Krishna's, just like you have magicians, they can do some pretty amazing stuff. Right? We used to have this magician, remember? John Mastami, he would come. I forget his name. He came for many, many years. That wasn't his name. It was like Jack or something like that. Anyways, local guy. Nice guy. And I remember seeing this one is David Blaine, I think is his name. Someone did this card trick. And I'd pick a card and put it inside a box. Don't even show you. Put it inside a box. And then... Blah, 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 and that and then nothing. And then he asked him to do it. He said, "Sure, I can do that one." He did it. He's like, but it's magic. It's just magic. He bewilders everyone. It's like, wow, that's very. How do you do that? Right? Just like they have these magicians who say they make the Statue of Liberty disappear in front of everyone or something like that. Or that. There's a famous. Okay, here's the famous one Prabhupada tells about in Bengal. You know the one there in Bengal. On stage during the British Raj, big event in the evening, because he was a very famous magician. And I think his son was the one who met, what's the one who looks like, Satya Sai Baba, and matched all of his tricks. And he said, "You're just a magician, get out of here." So you're just a magician too, But anyways, so this is, 1800s in India. All the lords and ladies showed up, all decked out as the British do, for the show. And it's supposed to start at 8 o'clock. You know the story? Oh, a famous story. And they're all, they're sitting in the theater and so on. And then 8 o'clock comes and the curtain's not drawn. And 5-10 minutes go by and they start a little restless. Because they're also, they're British and here's an Indian. So, it's like... a lower class person is putting on the show. So this is not very, and they're lords and ladies and the aristocracy of Calcutta and so on. 15 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by, and there you can hear it all in the audience, like, what's going on? What's going on? This should not be. They're British. They're British, like on time for everything, And then 8:30, he comes out on the stage. And they're all upset. And they're yelling at him and everything. And then he says, quiet down, quiet down. Look at your watches. And they all looked at their watches and it was 8 o'clock. The first trick of the evening. Now, how do you figure that one out? But Krishna's sammoham. He says here, the material nature is so strong, it says here, it bewilders everyone. That means everyone in the material world. Making one to lose the sense to understand the aim of life. Now, it's interesting, when you want to cheat someone, they say there's only one kind of person who can be cheated. You know who that is? Yes. Yeah, I got a deal for you. Yeah. I got this Rolex watch. I got it for $20. Since you're looking for something cheap, you can be easily bewildered and cheated if you want to be like that. So that's the problem. We all want to be cheated by the material nature, and therefore Maya is very obliging. And this Paresham or Parameshwara, Krishna, Prabhupada's making 2 points here, that he's completely controlling not only the material nature to control the living entities, but he also controls the material nature to free the living entities. Like that. That's the Daivesha Gunamayi mama māyā duratyaya. He set up the material nature, which is more or less impossible for the jiva to get out of, like that, by himself. And there's a reason for that, because we're a spirit soul from the spiritual world. We need that perfect illusion. You know, there can't be like a little hole in it somewhere. Because you want to forget Krishna, Krishna is very obliging, and you can forget him, Prabhupada said, forever. If you want to, if you really want to. Krishna's okay. But if you want to get out, then there's a way to get out, and that's by surrendering to the Supreme. Tarantite means cross over the material nature or get out, and that's by Krishna's kindness, Krishna's mercy. There's another verse in the Bhagavad Gita similar to this, 1858, which I enjoy very much. It's Machchita sarva durgani mat prasada tarishasi. Atachetvam bahankaram nashoshashi binangshashi. Krishna is saying here that if you become conscious of me, that means Krishna conscious, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace, by the mercy of Krishna. This sarva durgani, all the difficulties of material life, all the struggle, birth, death, disease, and old, you name it, I'll put it all in one bag, like that you cross over it. Mat prasada, by the mercy of Krishna, you cross over all these things. Then on the other hand, he says, if however you not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. That means you won't be able to get out of the material nature. So, how to get out, surrendering to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How do you surrender to Krishna? What's the key? That's Krishna sends his devotees into the material world. That's the key. The Vaishnavas, the devotees, are the ones who come into the material world, and by their mercy, by their grace, one learns how to get out of the material nature, how to become free from the modes of material nature and go back home, back to Godhead. Just like the verse mentioned in the Bhagavatam earlier, a blind person, he follows another blind person, they're not going to get very far. Yeah, that's what I meant, that when we read earlier. One blind man following another, blind man following another, where they go. But you need someone with some eyes. Om agyan timirandasya gananjana shlakaya chakshul unminitam taismai Sri Gurave Namaha. Spiritual master opens the eyes with transcendental knowledge, with the instrument of transcendental knowledge. And then we can understand what the goal of life is. The whole, just like it says here, the material nature is under Krishna's control. In the Brahma Samhita, she's described as chaya, shadow. Does your shadow ever go somewhere else? You go one direction, your shadow goes the other? In cartoons it does sometimes, but in real life, right? I don't know, is there enough light in here for you to stick your hand out? Yeah, I can do it in the shadow. I got a reflection going there. It moves in exact accord with the body. So Maya is moving exactly as Krishna wants her to. And she has a thankless task. And why does she have 10 arms? And yeah, and they all have weapons. But you know why 10? Porque 10. 10 directions. There you go, the 10 directions. In other words, she's got you covered. There's no getting out. Like that. All 10 directions, and she's got a weapon in each one. Go ahead, come on, try it. Like that. Imagine having her on your football team, a linebacker. Come on. No one's getting through that line. That's Maya. No one gets out. Durga. Like that. Durga. You open it up, let it go. All of it. So that's kind of, you could say, depressing in the sense that there's no getting out. It's like there's some of these, they're all in the news now, that big prison in El Salvador. That huge prison that they built to take care of all the gangs down there. It's very effective. Mahabar was telling me all about it. Not that he's been in it or anything like that, or has any friends in it, but because he's from El Salvador and so on. So when they first built it and all that, the gangs were saying, you better, because it's very common, very, very common in prison that prisoners control the guards. They control the guards and they get what they want and this and that and so on. And they sometimes even run their business from inside the prison. Well, they're not allowing that there. And he said that the standard line from the gangs in the prison were, well, we know where your family is. And then the warden said, well, we know where your family is too. Well, no, but I'm just saying the idea will kill your wife and your husband, to the guards, we'll kill your wife and your children if you don't give us what we want. Well, then they came down from the board, but we know where all your family are too. So you try one thing, we're going to kill your wife and your children too. And just one thing after the next, and it started working, that they can't do anything. It is very, very tight, and there's no getting out. It's an amazing complex, and it completely changed the whole country there. And actually, people feel safe once again, and all kinds of things. So, but you can't get out. Don't even attempt it. Don't even try. So material nature is like that on our own. But Krishna is assuring us, mat prasadat, by my mercy. And where's that mercy coming from? Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadam nagati katopi. By the by the devotees, Krishna's devotees. Krishna's never alone. And how does he manifest himself in this world? Of course, he's there as Chaitya Guru in the heart, but we can't see that. So we need the external manifestation of the Supersoul, and that's the spiritual master, that's the devotees. They're very, very, very kind. And by their mercy, in fact, that's what it says, that Krishna's mercy, you know what Krishna's mercy follows? Yes, the Madhyam Adhikari's desire. In other words, the preacher. That's because the preacher wants the conditioned souls to be liberated. It says that Krishna's mercy follows that path and benedicts the conditioned souls. So the kind devotees, the preachers, Madhyam and above, Uttama and so on, they're out preaching and they're always desiring the welfare of the conditioned souls. So Krishna, his mercy follows that path. And that's why I want us to be very, very respectful to the devotees of the Lord. And in fact, isn't that the first offense against the holy name? Blasphemy devotees of dedicated lives. That's why. Because those are the personalities whose Krishna's mercy is following that path. And to be blasphemous is asking for trouble. Big time. 8:27. And I'm going to finish because it's late. And there's probably some good discussion. As far as Krishna's mercy and our qualification for that mercy. Do we really have any qualification at all? In Kali Yuga, I don't think we do. That's why the incarnation of Kali Yuga is known as Patita Pavana. Pavana or Pavana? Pavana. Pavamana. So, okay. So, all right. So, this is from Rupa Goswami. And is a verse by Rupa Goswami. There's a quality called Ashabandha, like that. Great hope, or hope against hope. Just like Prabhupada says here in the purport. Is it in the purport? Yes, about the material, our life in the material world. It is a dream that is never to be fulfilled. Isn't that kind of disappointing? All of our dreams, all of our aspirations, all of our hopes, everything, all our plans, they'll never be fulfilled. If you're banking on it, right? So the sooner and you say, oh, that is so pessimistic. You're just taking the air out of everyone. Taking the air out of everyone. So no, it's reality. It's the reality. Because even if you so-called fulfill, what do they say? There's 3 kinds of happiness in the material world. 3 kinds. You have something you really, really want, but you never get it. You have something you really, really want, you get it, and you realize it's not really what you want. Now the last one is, there's something you really, really want. You think, this is going to make me so happy if I can just get this, what a relationship or a thing or something. And you get it, and it is everything you ever wanted. And then it's taken away. Those are your 3 options, ladies and gentlemen. A, B, and C. Is there any other option? Well, I'm talking about material life. Now I'm asking you, here's a question. Is there really another option? Is there A, B, C, D? Is there a gate? Is there a D? No. It's A, B, or C. You want it, you never get it. You want it, you get it, it's not really what you wanted. You want it, you get it, it's everything you wanted, but it's going to be taken away from you. Is there any other thing going out here in the material world, option. Is there? No. So the sooner we realize that, the temperature comes down, and we try to understand what the real goal of life is. It's obviously something else. But we'll end here with, this is a prayer by Rupa Goswami about hope against hope. I just have the English here in the Nectar of Instruction. But he says here, in this connection, one prayer by Rupa Goswami is sufficient to exemplify this hopefulness. In other words, we're talking about Daivi Māyā is so strong, Duratyaya will never get out. Do you ever knock your head against another day of japa and I barely even heard one round? Barely heard one mantra. Ever feel like that? Let alone did I chant, was even one mantra in ecstatic love of Godhead? And that's going to be nice when it starts to be like that. I had a few rounds there. It was an ecstasy, but not all 16. It's like we can give up hope. Like that, we have to be. So he's saying here that great hope is actually a character of one in ecstatic love. That's the chapter it's in here. Great hope. And he's saying here, I have no love for Krishna, nor for the cause of developing love of Krishna, namely hearing and chanting. And the process of bhakti yoga by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in the heart is also lacking in me. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious work are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I am not even born of a nice family. Therefore, I must simply pray to you, Gopi Jana Ballabha, Krishna maintainer and beloved of the gopis. I simply wish and hope that some way or other I may be able to approach your lotus feet, and this hope is giving me great pain, because I think myself quite incompetent to approach that transcendental goal of life. The purport is that under this heading of Ashabandha, one should continue to hope against hope that somehow or other, some way or other, he'll be able to approach the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that's a wonderful verse, that somehow or other, even though we have no qualification whatsoever, Krishna will be very, very, very kind to us. That's his promise. Krishna promises that throughout the Bhagavad Gita in so many different places. Krishna is very, very kind like that. So, yeah, so we open it up. There's quite a lot that could be said on this verse and purport.
Just that last verse you quoted, although you didn't quote the Sanskrit, it's included in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it is attributed, of course, to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but my understanding is that was originally written by Sanatana Goswami.
Sanatana Goswami quotes it.
Yeah, because he quotes from them.
Anything else? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for a nice class. Prabhu, you mentioned that the mercy of Krishna follows Madhyam Adhikari, just Madhyam Adhikari?
The preacher follows the preacher.
Oh, and what about like the Uttam Adhikari or anyone who is like very highly elevated?
No, I'm saying the preacher. Why, in other words, we get Krishna because the devotees, they are trying to deliver us and help us. So the Vaishnavas, like, oh, okay, the kindness of the devotees upon us, that's the path of Krishna's mercy flows. It could be any. I meant in the sense it said Madhyamadhikari, but any devotee who's preaching and trying to deliver the fallen souls, Krishna's mercy flows. That's how that's the direction it takes. Just like the spiritual master, he's saying, oh, please, initiation or whatever, please deliver. He's praying. Prabhupada signed so many letters. He's praying for our deliverance, praying for us. And Krishna's hearing that. Oh, you want Sankarshan to be delivered? Okay, no problem. I'll deliver him. You're asking, I'll do. Like that, right? Or just like the topmost example is, Prabhupada says, Radharani says, Krishna, this is a nice devotee. And Krishna goes, okay, since you are right, recommending, I will deliver. So Krishna is like that.
just in defense of what you said, because the Madhyamadikari thing, that's what he's confused. Well, what about Prabhupada? He means definitely Uttamadikari. But as you may remember, the Uttamadikari, he sees everyone already as a devotee except himself. So he doesn't preach. In order for him to preach, he comes down to the Madhyama platform and he makes a distinction. So
in that sense, yeah. That's the platform for preaching, the Madhyam. Kanishtakari is coming to see Krishna in the temple and doesn't really know how to relate to devotees, let alone feeling compassion for the conditioned souls, but they're devotees. And the Uttamadikari sees everyone as already servant of Krishna and so on, so the Madhyam is where all the action is. That's where all the action is. So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.